Hey everyone, welcome to Crossroads Conversations with the Lewis Brothers, where we aim to share real stories about running a successful family business, working through adversity, and pouring back into the community that keeps our doors open. We're your hosts, Taylor, Matt, and Shelby, and we'll bring you relevant local business advice and automotive insights that are sure to change the way you look at running a business, and may even throw in a plug for you to do business with us.
Today we're talking about crisis in the workplace. In crisis, I don't know. I don't really like that word. It's like, let's be positive.
I know.
But it's also real. So I'd like to retitle this thing, is When Crap Hits the Fan.
Hey, welcome back to Crossroads Conversations with the Lewis Brothers. Man, is today an exciting topic. We get to talk about crisis in the workplace. As we unpack this, I am sure that you as a business owner or a leader here in Northwest Arkansas are going to be able to take some of the stories and some of the principles that we go over today and put them in place immediately. Our goal today is to share funny stuff with you, but also to help equip you so you can be a better leader in Northwest Arkansas. Hey, if you didn't hear last week's episode, it was about culture. Great tips that you could put in place in your workplace. We talked about anything from the music in the dealership to how we talk to employees, how we run our meetings, how we treat our customers, and even how the flow of our business works at a local level of where employees do business with us and then we reinvest right back into the community, which is how it's supposed to work in networking. But let's dive in today. Taylor, what do you have for them?
You know, I got to make sure I always slow down a little bit. Hey, visit us online at lewissuperstore.com and make sure and hit the like and subscribe button to be able to see content from today as previous weeks as well.
What are you telling them to do on Saturdays?
Gosh, show and go live. I keep preaching this. It's completely different. Every time I get a new viewer on there, like I've never seen anything like this before. It's so fun. It's so raw. And it's just fun and real.
Thanks for diving in with us today. Hey, today we're talking about crisis in the workplace. In crisis, I don't know. I don't really like that word. It's like, let's be positive.
I know.
But it's also real. So I'd like to retitle this thing, is When Crap Hits the Fan.
I think our producers helped us put that to grab the attention of the audience. Yeah. Now, we're positive people, just like you said. So we were just talking about why do we call this crisis. We really want to talk about when, hey, stuff hits you in the face. Mm-hmm. How do we react to
it? And it's really like sometimes expected and sometimes the unexpected.
It is.
But it's just all the stuff.
You know, some quotes out there people talk about, it's not if something's going to happen to you. It's when.
It's when.
You can't control that something's going to happen. You can only control how you're going to react.
That's the important part. It's not necessarily the if and when and all the things. It's how you handle it. Because people are watching and paying attention.
Every time.
And we get challenged like on a great day, like 3 times a day. On a rough day or a character building day, 30 times.
Yes. Oh, I love that you brought up the character building part. I had somebody early on in my career teach me, hey, don't ever claim a bad day. You can have character building days.
Yes.
And we got them. We got them. Sometimes you can see them on our face, you know. Yeah. But today it's going to be fun to jump into that. It's going to be fun to jump in. And as we talk about, if you were in one of our manager meetings, we would talk constantly about like, hey, something's going to happen to you today. Mm-hmm. We're not sure what it is. We're not sure if it's going to be related to your employees or to the customer or to the inventory or to parts or to service. All I can tell you is get prepared and get ready. Don't let it just absolutely knock you down for the day. Like get prepared for it. Like, come on, bring it on. Bring it on. What do you got? Let me show you how I can react to it. Because I know everybody else out there is dealing with the same type stuff. So the better we are at reacting to it, then we can win. And we like to win. We like to win. So let's give them a couple examples of in the workplace, mainly recent stuff of what's gone on in our business that probably has gone on in yours as well and how we reacted to that. First, I want to bring up, because this does happen in Arkansas time to time, and it affects our business because our business is our vehicles. We're moving vehicles, we're selling vehicles, we're working on vehicles. When a big storm comes through and hail comes through, that can do some damage to vehicles. Mm-hmm. It really can. So, I mean, it can damage what? 100 to 1,000 vehicles?
Right now we have a little over 950 cars on the lot. Mm-hmm. Generally an average like a hailstorm. It's because you have to have pretty heavy hail to actually do damage to a car, thankfully. But it's generally $10,000 to $12,000 on average per car in damage.
Per car, and we'll always get a message from some of our customers out there, family members, of like, hey, a storm's coming through. You better move your cars.
What do you want us to do?
I'll stand out there with an umbrella over every
Hey,
car.
there's 900 cars.
Do you want me to go pick the nice ones? Like, they're all brand new. They're all nice. Like, thank you for sending me that message. No. You go handle it.
That's why you have insurance at that point.
It is.
Yes.
And you got to be ready to put that game plan. So let's talk about when the past couple hailstorms have come through. It's like, hey, they're coming. Now how to react. What do we do? Do we move all the cars offline and just shut down business? Or do we go forward?
No. It's just like a pendulum of opportunity. Okay. So we got to get insurance in. We start assessing, and then we kind of look at. We had a big one a couple years ago, and it had been a while since we had a hailstorm. So it's like, okay, what's the best way? You know, some people take all the insurance money.
Sure.
And then they just say, hey, let's have a huge hail sale, and you can discount, you know, if I say an average of $10,000 or $12,000. People love, you know, we say colorblind for a good deal. Some people take a bumpy car for a good deal, but they're still buying a new car.
Yeah. They are. Let's help the listeners out there go through that process. Let's unpack that a little bit. So big hailstorm hits a couple years back, and we had probably 400 or 500 cars affected. Now we got to get those things inspected by the insurance company. So we got to streamline that. Then we got to figure out how much each claim is, minus the deductible on each one, and then what we're going to do. So why don't you walk them through that?
Yeah, so it had been a while. So we overdo everything, right? Oh, yeah. So I called up my tent guy and I said, hey, I need a tent. So I got a 50 by 200 foot long tent, set it up on the back, and we started moving cars through. I had a team come in that helped me look at every single car, so I wasn't just taking the opinion of an insurance adjuster. And I saw a variance of $3,000 to $5,000 of what the insurance guy said versus the guy on my side. And some of them were just like knocked down, drag out. But when the end consumer wanted the car, we were going to fix them. We had to fix them. So we then had a team to come in, some local PDR guys that help us out. And so then we negotiated, hey, here's what X is, here's what the average is, and then to help us fix that. But in the meantime of streamlining all that, we just said, okay, now what do we do with these cars?
Absolutely.
Like, because now we've pulled a bunch of cars, and the salespeople are like, well, what are we supposed to do?
Exactly.
So then we had to work out, okay, how do we take lemons and start making lemonade and tell them how to sell them? So that was kind of the process we dove into.
It is. So as we unpack that out there, so how the listeners out there can put that in place, we didn't show up to work ready for a hail sale.
No.
But what we did is we got hit by hail damage, and we said, how efficiently can we put teams together so that then we can get back to running our business? And I'm going to unpack this a little bit for you. Is we said, okay, Shelby talks about he got the tent. Then we moved people back there because in order to inspect it, we had to clean them. So then we had a washing station out there. They came through. Shelby made a great point there. He said, hey, make sure you always get two opinions on everything so you have something to compare for. Don't just grab it and run with it.
No.
So there's that process going. But then meanwhile, Taylor, I know you can talk about this piece, is then we came out with the sheets. So then the salespeople know, well, how much can I sell this for if it is damaged?
Absolutely. No, that was big there. And it's important to remember, Matt talked about having the mindset to be able to handle a curveball. But here's a funny part of when the hailstorm happened. We were sitting in a Friday morning meeting, pumping the guys up to send them out.
Go.
And it sounded like bowling balls were falling from the sky. And Shelby, I remember him standing up at the front. He's like, oh, darn. And that's all he could do because then we were in the front of the thing. We had to keep going. We're selling. Hey, we're going to fire them up and keep going.
Always, that's like such a good point. Takeaway point number one. Someone is always watching how you react to a situation.
I mean, you wanted to be mad.
Yeah, but like, what do you, so it once again, lemons to lemonade.
Yes.
And so it was like, oh, okay, like, okay, now point 4, I was going over here in my training and like the ceiling is coming in. Right? The second story, you can hear it just, we're like, oh my gosh. And everyone's, you know, I've always been the type of person that like, if I wreck something and get hurt, I'm trying to figure out how to cover myself up quick enough so that I can assess and roll on and I don't want other people's opinions of what's wrong. And so at the same time, I'm trying to figure out, okay, in my game plan, how do I keep teaching this meeting, but how do I also figure out the game plan? It's like, okay, well, let's do what we're going to do, and then we'll quickly assess and then go through there.
So that was huge. I had to go back and park because that was a great learning that no matter how weathered you are, you have to always be battle tested and ready because it's going to throw you in the absolute. I mean, it's going to be a complete curveball when it's the wrong time. But as Matt was talking about, we had to come out with our sheets, have it set up, have it ready to go because we're transparent with our consumer, our customer, making sure, hey, this happened. This was fixed. We wanted to fix it so whenever you buy a new car, you're still going to get that new car, but you still get to take great advantage of these savings.
So they got to save a bunch of money.
Save money and have
the
car.
We fixed like 98% of the cars.
Sure.
Most of it with painless dent repair. We had an amazing team, and they fixed them right there. And so the customers could see. We had photos of the vehicle's damage. We showed them what the amount was and then showed them what they're saving. So we took the cost to fix it.
It was huge.
Say it was $2,000 to fix it. The insurance check was $10,000. Then we showed them the savings of the $8,000. And it was a win-win-win.
Yep.
It really was. I think the important part for people to understand out there is everybody's always watching you. And if you didn't pick that up last episode, go re-listen to it because Taylor and I talked about that as the leader setting the pace. Shelby talks about when they're in the meeting there is you got to pause for just a second and breathe. And then you got to keep moving. And then before you react to it, you better assemble a tight-knit team so you can volley the ideas back and forth to make sure everybody's... Don't just pull out your gun, fire, and then aim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Be good.
It will always be to your benefit if you'll pause, have your core group that you know will give you honest opinion, so then you can go out to battle. Taylor talks about it. If you don't have brothers in it, you still have key managers in your business that'll support you. And then, boom, put it out. Yeah. That happened in multiple different ways there. From your setup, you're talking about with the tent, getting the insurance stuff, the stuff Taylor's talking about because your team's looking at you going, what do I do next? Here's the sheet of paper. Here's how you sell from this. Here's the word tracks. Everybody in your business needs direction, and they're looking at you. And if you just go, oh, crap, and you go home for the day, they're going to do the same thing.
It's not going to work.
So you got to be able to react like that. So that kind of hit on the hailstorm there. Let's go on to the next one. Let's talk about COVID. COVID was on everybody's mind.
Are you talking about a vaccine?
We're just talking about the business of COVID.
Okay, I see the reaction.
The business of COVID and what that did to the economy. Now, for us, that was both internal and external. And I can tell you this with 100% certainty, we didn't have a playbook. But we developed one.
Yes.
And it every day compound on talk. I can remember being in meetings telling my managers as transparent as I could be, I said, we don't have a playbook from this, but I'm confident with this team, we'll figure out the roadmap that we're going to be on here.
Yeah, and that was kind of awkward because it was saying, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to figure it out. So
that was new for me. I had never said that to managers of, I don't know what to do here. There's not a professional we can go find in the marketplace and copy their ideas. But I was like, we just got to be transparent.
And so I guess go to the initial of COVID.
Yeah,
so
like initially, so I have to get back into this, and you're saying, hey, Taylor, that was a one-off example of the hailstorm. Like, it happened, you had to help. And when you were in your sales meeting, okay, I've got another example for you. We were in the middle of a hoorah mall sale.
Offsite sale.
Weekend, like in the middle of our Ultimate Challenge, which you'll hear more
$80,000 in advertising spent. We're at the mall. We have 400 cars on location. We have every radio station set up.
We're all under a tent at the mall.
And can we be completely honest? We live in one of the best areas that is so, blessed with business and sheltered from whatever would-be stuff is happening. And people started trickling down of this COVID word, and we were like, I don't know. We're at work. We're at work, and we're still going. So we kept going. And they're like, hey, we're going to have to start shutting stuff down. We're like, no. We did this whole weekend.
No, we have Ultimate Challenge. He's like, no. We got to finish this. So, we had a big number we were chasing.
Yeah, so then we just had to roll into, we got to pull back on the brakes. It's kind of getting a little bit more serious. And then it was just like Matt talked about. It had to instantly go to game planning. What do we do from here? Let's stop. And, rolling back into Shelby, I'll kind of let you go into that. But we had to develop a whole new process of what we did.
Yeah, and it was very dicey of the fact that everyone was shouting, stay at home. And our business is anti that.
Yes.
Like, unless you need me to come to your home and sell your car, we'll do that.
Sure.
But it was, hey, come and see us. And then we were like the anti, like, the villain here.
Yes.
We're like, hey, come on down.
Because we were open.
And it was so
closed.
tricky. So I'll say shout out to our team or shout out to us or whatever. Whatever. I don't know. We figured it out.
Team.
Yeah.
So we figured out how do we split shift these people? How do we work from home? Like a technician's kind of hard to take a customer's car home and work on it. Sales guy kind of hard to work from home. Most of our stuff is thankfully in person, but at that time was not thankful.
Not at all.
But the first thing, we guaranteed everyone's pay.
That was
I think that's important. When we started looking at that, and people were talking about furloughing employees, and they were talking about sending employees home, and trying to get the unemployment, and this
Or
and
just
that.
firing people. Let people go.
Fire people so then they could get the unemployment. And some of y'all out there were in the same boat. We looked at it and we said, hey, we know that this thing is going to pass. Mm-hmm. And when you pause, that's the point of this thing. When you pause and you can think before you react, even if you got to go in the closet and shut the door, think, remove the distractions. When we did that and we said, we're going to come out of this. This isn't the end all be all. And we're going to keep growing our business. We need those technicians.
Yeah.
We need those salespeople.
Yeah.
We need those managers. Mm-hmm. How long did it take us to get them master certified as a technician?
Long time, a lot of money
to have them.
How long did it take that salesperson to build up their customer database? For that manager, not only to manage people, but to put our culture in place.
Yeah.
So when we looked at that, we said, hey, we're going to roll the dice here. And I can remember going to the board going, hey, this is a roll of the dice and this is an expense, but I feel like it's the right play. Mm-hmm. And we said, we're going to split shift everybody. Okay, so we can try to spread out and, distance yourself and not spread it. But we're going to not only keep them on the payroll, we're going to guarantee their pay so that they can take care of their family. So when this thing does come back around, which it did, we're ready to go. We don't miss a beat.
Yep.
I think that is another testament to culture.
Oh, man.
And that we were betting it all on the house.
Let me explain to the listeners out there how much we were betting on the house. We took everybody's pay for the same month that they had made the year before.
Yep.
Which pause for a second. Our biggest month of the year. And so most of our employees are driven off of activities.
Yep.
And the higher the activities, the higher the pay. It was a large expense.
It was very big.
You're talking probably north of $400,000 or $500,000.
You were over $1 million in guaranteed pay. Let me just say that.
$1 million. I've slept since then. So it's over $1 million in guaranteed pay. Because that's the first thing.
Yes.
If you're taking notes from this, the first thing, if there's a change, they don't care about anything.
Else.
Yeah.
And I don't mean they.
Yes.
I mean the employees.
Sure.
And any employees. This has nothing to do with Lewis Automotive. They want to know, hey, is my job safe?
Sure.
And how much money will I make?
And I think that's important to say, and we're not calling any of our employees out, but they're there to provide a living for their family.
Yeah.
Or to achieve their
so different
goals.
what you're doing or what you're doing,
100% get it. So then when we looked at, and we looked deeper than just the dollar for the month, one, do we have the cash flow to be able to do this? But if we do this, we think it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah.
So it was, I think we went on 3 months.
3 months of guaranteed pay of year over year.
Yep.
And we gave them, because some people said,
that's
I
right.
think I'm going to do better.
Yeah.
And I said, I hear
Better
you.
to take.
If you do better,
Yeah.
you get to take the better of the two numbers.
And I would bet to say if we surveyed a bunch of businesses out there, there's not very many that did that. But I can tell you this, we didn't lay off one person.
No.
And in fact, coming out of it, we grew our team and it was stronger than ever.
And that's that culture of and we fight for that every day. Every time we hire someone new, a piece of our pie is cut out and insert someone new because they don't know our culture and they don't know the past. And we have to reprove it every day. But that is a good thing that here's why. And I'm going to show it to you not because yesterday, but today we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
I think what's important that we're going to talk just a little bit more about COVID here because there's a lot of business principles is that was the first phase.
Yes.
All right. How do we do what's right to respond, help slow the spread, help make sure our employees have money to feed their family? Mm-hmm. The automotive, once we came back though, let's come back 3, 4, 5 months later. The automotive industry was really not affected until about a year after that. And then I'll let y'all talk about this, but I want to set it up because the automotive industry had big warehouses of vehicles, parts, days supply, and even though other factories had shut down because they may still be on split shift, it took about a year before that excess inventory dwindled down. So we didn't really see the effect of COVID business until about a year or so later. And then we started having to pivot on inventory and what to sell. So I'll let y'all take it from there.
Yeah, because it was tricky. Because first, manufacturers were scared.
Yep.
Before inventory was an issue, they said, oh, crud. No one's coming out of their house. How do we sell cars? So I remember it was 0% for 72 months on almost everything.
Yeah.
And we started out like, oh, gosh, all right. And we were selling tons of cars.
We were.
And so then that trickled. And then the inventory supply started coming. And they were like, hang on. Sales are really good, but we don't have the supplies.
Yes.
And so it completely flipped.
It did.
They took away all incentives to say, demand is now high because we've just chummed the waters, but now we don't have supply. And
Yeah, I mean, it was huge.
I mean, there were times, and for all the listeners, just in reference out there so you understand what we're talking about, our new inventory group-wide, it runs 500 to 700 new vehicles. And it was a long period. I'm not talking about one day. A long period where all the dealerships together were less than 50.
You know what it taught, and there's like a lot of things we could talk about, but they're not that fun, was the art of staging your
I love
lot.
the subject, though. We can't miss this
It was
subject.
so good because it was lemons to lemonade.
I know.
And so, because I loved it, like,
Did you like hearing it?
if I wreck my bike going down a hill, what I've done that.
Okay.
We'll get on that story later on.
I will be at work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to show you that my COVID inventory is not good. So we would have, one point we got down to less than 20 new.
I don't know
no.
if it was even that many.
Yeah.
But yes,
At
was
the end of a month, it was in the teens. And we would have extra inventory that were other vehicles. And we would put them on angles. Because every other lot, it was like a pride thing. We would drive past lots, and they didn't give a rip. I don't know, and they just had empty parking lots.
It's ownership, and what they're talking about is we had marketing meetings on display of the lot, and we would I love the dry erase board. Y'all have taken them away from me. But we would line out on the lot. The middle would be empty. Nothing to be there. Okay, you could have had a football field in the middle. But the perimeter, which is where the customer was driving
it's called the curb effect.
They saw it. And how many times did we hear, how did y'all get so much inventory and everybody else has nothing?
And in the digital world, I had old footage. And so it's like, hey, look at our inventory of what it could be. You know, I wasn't directly coming out and saying, hey, I have all these cars available right now.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that I didn't come out with something on social media that says we need to buy your vehicle, and it shows 400 cars on the ground. And so it was chumming the water.
It is perception.
Absolutely. It is perception. That's huge. And Shelby did a great job of this, of going through and telling the guys to be able to have this, but of a customer that's new online every single day, of taking pictures of transports.
Sure.
And you would be able to re-show those of, hey, this new customer that I have today, they're looking for this. They need to see that I have this available and it's here ready to go.
That became a thing, and that's funny. That was just like fight or flight thing. And I was like, hey, transporting. And it was like Christmas morning when transports were coming in. I was like, everybody get your phones and get over here now.
Yeah, that was huge.
And so now it's a thing, right? Or for some people, for the grinders,
for
the
out there.
The 5-car Freddies, they're not out there taking pictures.
So, but now let's go a level farther. Okay. All right. So let's come back to reality for a second. I know y'all getting wound up. That got the perception out there, but we could only turn 19 cars so many times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then, in our business, how did we pivot between new and used? I'm going, we can only get so many new vehicles, but let's pivot to used, and then how our sales force could still hit their goals and provide a living.
Yeah, so we started paying the salespeople to buy cars.
Yeah, we got together, and one of us came up with the idea of hearing it from our different manager meetings we go to of outside businesses that I look and see. Normally, if you go to buy a car, for those of you who aren't familiar with the automotive business, you have to go to an auction. We do not like buying cars from auction, one, because normally that vehicle's not the best vehicle, and you're paying more for it.
You got to be the last person with your hand up, right?
Yeah, so you're going to pay more. That's just to have a vehicle here. Well, we wanted to provide for our internal employee, so we said, hey, why don't we pay them like you pay an auction to go out and be the service that is going to buy the vehicles, whether it be from Facebook or anything else, and it provides them another way to be able to earn a living. So that was huge, and we really saw an uptick, and it hadn't stopped now. Our internal buying.
Let's unpack that for everybody listening. So the average fee to buy at the auction, okay, if your hand's raised and you bought the car for $30,000, the average fee is about $900, and then it goes up from there. And then you got to transport it anywhere from $300 to $500. So we're talking about $1,200 to $1,500 on top of the selling price. As Shelby talked about, you were the person with your hand raised up the last. So then we said, why don't we pay our salespeople anywhere from $200 to $500, depending upon what the unit is and the special. They get to provide a living. We might as well feed them, give them the income rather than the auction. We still save some. We help the public out, and then we increase our inventory. And Shelby, I'll let you go into this. On the inventory where we said, hey, we're really low on new, let's pivot to used.
Yeah, so generally we're 1-to-1. So for every new car sold, we sold one used car. And it did transition, and it became 2 or 3. In those points, it was probably 5 or 6 to 1.
Yeah, at least.
But we got it where monthly we were buying 60 to 70 cars a month. And Matt said it helped the public, and like, whatever. How did it help the public? Well, you want to sell your car, and you're like, Marketplace is pretty easy. So you put it on Facebook Marketplace, you park it out next to the road, you put it on Kerm's Dollar Trade while that was still a thing, or wherever you had it. And so we just sent teams out, and we constantly had to challenge them. But buying 70 cars, so paying the salespeople $200 to $500, some people were buying 10, 12, 15 cars a month, salespeople. Huge. And it was supplemental income for them. It allowed us to fill our parking lot with prime pre-owned vehicles. And these were local, the good car. You're talking about Grandma's 03 that's only got 20,000 miles. Or, hey, this thing is a second car and hadn't been driven. Because it was COVID time. So people are like, I don't need a car, right?
Yeah, they're working from home. Maybe they could go from 2 down to 1. So when you look at this from a business principle, there's a couple things I'm going to unpack here. One, I don't want to miss the part, and we think it's normal, but it's really not normal, that our salespeople can sell new, they can sell used, they can sell new on any of our lots. And we remove that. Most dealerships out there, if you're a salesperson at a new Ford store, you for sure can't sell a new Jeep. You have to turn those over to somebody else. Or if you want to sell used, that's got to go to the used department. Why? You know, if the customer's already developed a relationship with that salesperson, or if you go through a COVID and you're out of new vehicles, if they want to sell the used vehicle, let them sell the used vehicle. So some of y'all out there have some restrictions and some handcuffs that you need to remove. And just because it's been done that way for 50 years or 100 years, evolve. How can you remove those handcuffs? Same thing with the salespeople. We needed to acquire used vehicles. Okay, you're like, no, we don't pay salespeople to do that. We pay our buyer to do that. Why not? Why not? If we can pay them money, they stay employed with us. So then when the inventory comes back up, we've got a healthy team. We've acquired better vehicles for less money. That's a win-win. You only can identify those opportunities when you get in a room with a core group of people that you trust. You shut the door, you silence the distractions, and you go, what else could we do with our business?
Matt, we got to go back and talk about, that's what I wanted to catch before we got too far. But this is a ongoing thing we talk about. We've talked about a couple of things before about delegating. I just have to hit that point for you to listen and know that we identified that we only had one buyer and he could only 10 times, 15 times X himself. Well, we realized the salespeople weren't going to be as good as him, but delegating and putting other people around you that are going to 7 times what you would normally do, at 40, 50 of those people, it made up a huge difference, and our team was much larger there. So know that no matter if it's, cleaning, fixing, calling, servicing, this or that, help a team around you, have a team around you that can be able to help you 10x what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
And then make sure, and I constantly, this is where my Google Sheets come in, I constantly say, hey, if there's something worth doing, it's worth doing right, and make sure that we've vetted it and then close the door. and then know that it might change a little bit.
Yep.
But make a procedure for your team to know. That's that Mack truck theory. So, okay, here's how you buy a car. Here's where you pull it in. Here's how you... And so then you had deal packets. Taylor had complete deal packets if they would do this, this, and this. And this is how they got paid the $200. You hand it to them.
Yep.
And so then that's how we went through it. I created another Google sheet and said, hey, here you go.
Yes.
Here's how we keep track of this, how we pay all these people, how we can go through and see where's our sweet spot, what do we need to buy, what can we buy, and here's the procedure and how you do it. So then you can say, all right, that's going.
Yep.
Let's go to the next crisis. You know what I mean? And let's go to the next one.
Yep.
Hey, and just for you to know, sorry, Matt, to cut you off there. You're going to roll into something big there. But that thing has not stopped. We're over 3 years later now, and every Friday, 15 to 20 of those things of buying whole company-wise get handed out.
Sure.
So you're talking a whole lot of money going into the sales guys' pockets to be able to incentivize your team. So whenever you get a great process like that, keep it going.
Stick with us.
Yeah, I don't know that we have shouted this out, but if you're in Northwest Arkansas, or shoot, if you're not even in Northwest Arkansas,
we'll come get
it's
it.
ranked one of the top 10 places.
It is.
One, will buy your car.
Yep.
But two, if you have handcuffs and somebody's not loosening them up or giving you direction, you say, I can't sell a GMC when I'm in Florida.
come see us.
Or hey, I'm a hostess. We are hiring. We are always hiring. You need to have no experience when it comes to sales. I just need you friendly, willing to learn, and we're going to be trainable. You know, we're going to make sure that we can help you, but come see us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's big. Okay, so let's give one more example, just so then maybe somebody's like, man, I hear what y'all are talking about, but I really can't relate it in my business or what I'm doing. Almost every business out there has some type of computer software they deal with.
Yeah.
Whether it's inventory or selling or social or whatever else
Point
it
to
is.
sell, keeps track of your stuff.
Everybody deals scheduling, whatever it may be. So this past summer, our main computer system, which is called CDK, went down.
Yeah.
It went down. And I'll set this up and then y'all can start talking. So when it went, I can remember it went down on a Wednesday in June. When it first went down, there was a blip. And things happen technology-wise. Internet goes down, systems go down.
Come back up.
So, yeah, you just got to put like, okay, everybody take an early lunch, and then we'll come back and be back up, ready to go. Okay? I know y'all don't get to go to lunch, but, sometimes we say that.
It's perks of the job.
So, computer system goes down. We're like, okay, it'll be back up. Next day, it's still down.
It didn't come back.
But then Thursday night, it came back up.
It did.
It came back up. We're like, okay, we're good to go.
Good.
Show back up Friday, goes down again.
No, sir. It's done.
We're like, okay, we got to start putting some checks and balances in place because we don't know how long this is going to take. And when we talk about our computer software, it is our computer software.
It's not like it's just like, in the archives. We're talking about 200 plus people that come through every day for service.
Oh, yeah.
We need that to check you in, to pull up your history. It's basically like I don't know you.
And not only is it service in every single repair order, which we write over 2,600 a month in that.
What about
it's
parts?
Every single vehicle. It's every single part. So we're talking about over $5 million in parts going in and out. We're talking about every single check we write to every single employee, every single vendor, payroll, payoffs on every single car.
It was a lot.
It was everything. I mean, everything. And when you start thinking about that in service, when we write up a ticket in service, we got to get the 17-digit VIN right. Okay? Then we got to write down your concern. Then it's got to go to the technician. Remember when we talked about earlier? Most of our employees are based upon commission, even our techs. So how do we track those flagged hours? What about the credit cards? How are we going to get payments? How are we going to do the estimate for the customer to call them on the repair of their vehicle? It goes on and on. I don't want to give everybody the labor.
Now, I know you're thinking this, but before we fully dive into this, and you're like, I'm not in the car business, or I'm on Reynolds and Reynolds, or I'm on Dealer Track. Just pause and listen as a leader and know that there's something you can pull from this, because it was so important. Because guess what? As a leader, everyone looks at you.
Every
and you
day.
cannot throw your hands in the air. And you can't just go to lunch. Taylor, do you go to lunch with a lot of people?
No.
Do you have a lot of people offer to you?
Oh, yeah. Obviously. Yeah, no. I normally eat at 4 to 5 in the afternoon.
But so, leaders lead.
Yep,
Leaders
they do.
lead. It's so important. So then we said, okay, let's figure this out.
Yep. So when it was time for us to figure this out, leaders do lead, but they always have a group of people. They don't always have to be the smartest, and it doesn't always have to be their idea. So we got people together. We started working on Shelby's Google Sheets.
So, baby, back in it.
Here we go. We said, how do we track this stuff? Because it's kind of getting out of control.
It's a monster that's building in the background.
At that point, we had 3 days worth of parts that had come into our parts department, gone on a vehicle, and left the dealership without any track of it all. But what we knew is when the system came back up, all those parts were going to come in and we had no track of it. Okay. We were signing cars up, didn't have a way to pay them off. Okay. This was big. So we get the core group together and we said, how do we start tracking this? First thing we worked on, I said, well, here's a given. Shelby, work on the Google Sheets and let's put every single RO in a Google Sheet per dealership. Okay. What the vehicle was and then how their payment was. He started working on that. I got with our CFO and I said, can you at least print the reports from the credit card machines and we'll work on reconciling that. So daily activities, we'd print all the credit card stuff from the day before, hand them to the department managers. They would reconcile that in there. Yep. Same thing when we went to finance. We put all those vehicles in there. You know, what we sell, what's the payoff, who's it to, so on and so forth.
It was kind of funny because I remember on a Sunday talking to our dad about it. You know, and I'm not like complaining or whining about it, but we created these logs, and I had an old school log of a sales up log.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I pulled it up, and then I was like, hey, let me make a digital version. And that's the reason why I like Google Sheets, is because I can share it to everyone, so they can update it.
Yeah,
then
live.
They could throw the data in there, and I could clean it. I could color code it.
Yeah.
But I was like, Dad, like, I'm going through this thing, da-da-da. I was like, how did you... You know, back when you guys walked to school uphill both ways, naked, pulling the school bus, because that's what they say.
Fact,
yeah, true fact. That's everybody's dad.
Oh yeah, you know.
With school bus on their back, I said, hey, "How did you make sure that you know?" I said, "Because I'm looking at this log and it shows that they had 3 customers here." And he said, "I used to have a spotter." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I had a spotter." And he would tell me, hey, there was a green station wagon and there was a red truck out there. And I saw Mrs. Davis in the service truck. He said, so then I'd go check on the team midway through the day and say, hey, will you show me on the log where Miss Davis was in?
Yeah.
And so they just inspect what you expect, right? And so just because I created the logs, like I've made a lot of logs and given to a lot of people, and they just sit there like a log.
Yes.
Like a log in your fire that you never lit. And so it was inspecting those things. And so we constantly had to do that.
It did. We had to, just because we did something the day before, it might have been, hey, we got to push some of that to the side and refocus here. We know, again, just like any of these crises, we're going to come out of it. But how do we win during it? I love the tidbits of information. This helps fuel my fire when we're in the middle of it. Is no different when people drove by and they said, hey, your lot's full. Yeah. Somebody else looked at it. We had a customer come in day 2. They needed to order an engine. And the dealership down the road wouldn't order them an engine because their computer system
It's like,
down.
boom, I got
I was like, I got this one. Put this one in the boat. Come on in. We'll order your engine for you.
Yeah.
And that just fires you up because you see opportunities when other people hunker down. And you're like, listen, I'll run towards the tornado.
The car business is like, people are resilient. People who excel in the car business are resilient of like, oh man, I just got twigs here. I'm about to.
Oh, they're problem solvers.
Oh my, I love it.
I do too.
So that was that thing because I remember going to a meeting post this, and they were like, I couldn't sign a customer. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, Taylor, get with finance, make sure that all their iPads are set up so they can e-contract everybody.
Everything.
Because all of our printers are through CDK and to print the stuff. We missed one deal on Wednesday night. And we got the deal back in and got it signed up. But we did not miss another deal. We did not miss one RO. We did not miss a part being ordered.
I know. It was big. So this system happened like the second week in June, okay? Well, the first of the second week. We're talking just 1 week in June. It didn't come back up until July 4th and 5th. Yep. And then we had to put all those back in the computer.
Yeah, we had to backdate all of that stuff.
All of it. So every single RO, the RO had to be generated. Parts had to go on there. Again, I'll save you all the labor pains. But it was a ton of work.
Let me tell you the numbers.
Okay, tell.
Just because I have these.
I know. People like facts.
I'm going to give you facts. So just so you know this, between our Ford and our Chrysler store, so I'll double these just understanding, over 600 log sales prospects.
Okay.
So a customer walks in and say, hey, leave 600. Me alone. I don't want to talk to you about a car. But so 600 logged. Over 200 handwritten deals of people who said, yes, I want to buy a car. Can you make the deal work? 200 plus people signed up.
The entire contract, too.
The entire bill of sale, purchase agreement, WIO, finance contract, because we still have to have paper data of that. Over 400 deals processed by our office, going through all that. Over 800 handwritten ROs. 17-digit VIN. What's your concern? What's your name? What's your phone number? What's your address? All this stuff. Over 800. Over 3,200 hours turned by technicians of not being able to use a parts catalog or not being able to go into the system to tell you how to do it. Over 1,900 parts were ordered manually without a part number. 1,900. Over 28 transmissions ordered that time when that was down. 28 transmissions. And fun fact for you, over 1,264 car washes.
1,260. That was the most difficult part. Was the car washes.
Yeah, no, that thing had nothing to do with the system. That was from our cake day.
But that was just fun. So, you know, when you look at that and you look at when a system like that goes down, how do you react to it?
And like it sucked, but it was also a new challenge, right? Like, hey, people are going to not be good at this. Let's be the best at it. And the biggest thing, and I'll be quiet in this moment, but the biggest thing was your customer should never know that things aren't going as planned. No. Like, it should never affect the customer. And just put a smile on their face, show them the coffee machine, sit them down in the waiting area, get them a free car wash.
They just drove across the entire U.S. to go to Wally World. It's not their fault.
Oh, my gosh. Sorry, folks. Park's closed. Like, no, it is open, and it's better than ever. So leaders lead. And listen here, you have to make sure, do not let the turmoil make it to your customer.
That's all important.
Yes,
it's all important.
Absolutely.
So, again, the same principles come in place when you hear any three of those is pause, gather the information. I didn't say have an all-employee meeting, but don't do it yourself. Get you 2 or 3 people in the room because they're going to be able to poke some holes at some things, and that's okay. They may even come up with a better idea. In this room of us 3, one of us may have a better idea than one of the other ones, and that's fine. The other 2 needs to support them and keep them rolling. And the next time, the roles are going to reverse. There's somebody on your team that will go, boom, here's what you need to do.
You got to empower them. You got to use them. Taylor, hit us. Fun fact quiz of the week. What is it?
You know, we got to get in the middle there, but hey, how many cars does the average household own?
So the average household, I see some houses with a lot of cars.
There's some
houses with no
Arkansas.
cars. In Arkansas, I
mean,
know
in Lincoln, what is it, 7 or 8?
I don't know the Billies, but
running. You're probably talking about running.
All right, so think about that.
Think about that.
An average household. How many cars do they own? All right, so now I want to transition a little bit over. Still talking crisis, or when crap hits the fan, as we talked about. We're going to talk about the crisis of people.
Yeah, let's talk about every day of employees. And all y'all have shown up, and either somebody didn't show up because they were sick, or they just no-showed on you, or maybe they just up and left, or they're not doing their job.
Yes.
You know, we talk about selling a car is the easiest part. It's managing the people. And if you'll go back a couple episodes before, we talked about managers are to manage people. And they're really just highly paid babysitters, you know what I mean, managing activities. But it'll hit the fan. And it'll happen to all of you out there if it hadn't happened yet, where you had somebody that you thought like, hey, this person's with me for life or whatever happened. And then all of a sudden you show up, they don't even call or text.
They're gone.
And then there you are.
Yes. So, huge deal there. So, it's how to manage the unexpected in the workplace.
It really is.
I mean, it's huge there, but it has to start with communication. You only know that, I'll let y'all dive into it there. But communication of you always being involved of what's going on in your area.
There's a lot going on. I just got a text and somebody said, hit the music. And I was like, and this is just real world. I was like, what do you mean hit the music? Like, turn it on. So I pull up. Luckily, we have system. and Like a Pimp was playing.
Oh, that's not good. So you got to be able to react when that's going on. But if an employee doesn't show up and you have the customer, you got to remember this. You got the customer standing in front of you. The customer is the one that pays the bills. You're just transferring it. And in our business, there's other options out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then how you react, because remember, like y'all brought up, everybody's watching you to see how you react during it. So how do you jump in and fill the hole? Temporarily put it there, and then figure out what's going on. We've all had those employees, and we've shown up, and I know multiple times that then I've gotten in there and gone, okay, let me plug the hole, let me get the customer taken care of,
Yes.
and then let's move forward.
Yes. And I love the real world. This is, and no joke, whenever you're plugged into the leading, it just, you try to get a minute from yourself, and it just doesn't happen. But you always have to make sure that you have that and you're involved in the middle of it. So, communication is key, and you talked about that, Matt, of being in the middle. But experience being in the middle of it to be able to lead whenever that happens. We talked about it with the hail. We talked about it with the computer issue, anything else. But it's how do you have that set up so whenever the employee Matt was talking about, they just up and leave. And we're not talking about, let's be real clear about this. We're not talking about like wash bay or they help check in cars. No, this is your employee. So say you're in the automotive business. Let's take a office manager, somebody that is controlling the whole process.
Master plumber.
Yeah, absolutely. So your guy that's, if you're in construction, he's your
foreman.
Yeah, your foreman. Your guy that's over it, he's gone.
He's gone.
So how do you handle that whenever he's a no-show, doesn't call, doesn't do anything? How do you address that?
So step one is you got to plug the hole.
Yes.
Okay, so step one, you as a leader have to step in and plug the hole. Okay. There's a hole in the boat.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You first have to plug the hole. It's just like we tell people all the time. If somebody's drowning in the deep end, throw them a raft and help get them out.
Don't teach them how to swim.
Don't teach them how to swim right then. You have to plug the hole first. Your team is looking. You're in the spotlight right there to see as a leader. Do you step up on what you've been talking about?
Yeah.
How you're the big bad leader and you can help do everything? You have to plug the hole.
So you're going to plug the hole. The best way to plug, you sit in that spot.
You get in.
You get in that spot. You go in as the foreman. You go in as the office manager, as the manager. And so, because they're like, all they're going to be doing is talking about it. They're not going to be effectively managing. So then you help them walk through it if they need communication. And, hey, here's what's going on. And we hadn't quite figured it out. And they needed to do something else. And we still love them. And they're going to adventure on something new. But we're going to get in it.
Yep.
So that's step one. Get in it. Plug the hole.
Get in it. I'm going to pause everybody right there. Yep. If you're like, I'd love to get into it, but I need to be honest with you, I never learned how to do that position. It's okay.
Yep.
Just get in there with your presence and then ask the other employees in that area, what goes on here? Be transparent.
Yeah.
Be humble.
Yeah.
Okay, don't fake it, run away, and go to your golf tournament.
No.
Okay, just ask.
That's why you shouldn't golf.
What can I do to help here?
Yeah.
There's plenty of areas in the dealership that I'd have to be able to ask. Yeah. I know what's going on, but I'm like, okay, how does that transfer from account to account? Yeah. Just ask and be transparent.
Yeah, and transparency is so key there. So step one, plug, fill the hole. Step two, you got to see what was the reason why the person left.
They do. So you got to unpack it there.
Yeah.
Did they really move to Maryland? You know what I mean?
So was it them or was it us?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's not to place blame. It's just to fix a problem if a problem is there. Sure. If the problem is still within your store, you need to handle it before it infects someone else.
Yeah.
I will also go a layer deeper there, too. Shelby does a great job figuring out what's the root cause. But I'm going to give you a pro tip right now. Whether you have an HR department or not, you should have a description and a listing for every position in your business so that when that happens, email goes out, ad launches, and lets the world know, hey, I've got this open position while you're plugging the hole.
Hey, I'll pro tip your pro tip. I learned this a long time ago. If you were like, well, crap, how am I going to write so many job descriptions? I got 12 employees. I got 38 different positions. Today, challenge your employees and say, hey, we're going to run a quick program. I need everyone to write down their job description and everything you do throughout the day. It'll give you two things.
Yes.
It will allow you to have an understanding of what they do, And the second thing is you'll realize they have a complete different thought
Yes.
of what they're supposed to be doing versus what you think they should be doing. So that'll help you fix two problems.
I'll give you that one. That was a double pro tip.
that was
Okay,
big.
Really is good. So again, we're putting a plan in place.
Yep.
Okay, instead of just reacting to it.
Yeah.
It's in place so that it's boom. Email it HR. If you're like, I don't have HR, you shoot it out to Indeed.
Yeah.
Here's the listing.
Yeah.
Go plug the hole. Okay. While you're then plugging it, identify the actual root stuff.
Yeah.
Then look internally and figure out if you got somebody you could move up into that area.
Good point. So can you move somebody that already knows your systems, that you know shows up to work on time, that is part of your culture?
Yep.
You are 10 times better hiring within than you are going out to Indeed or Monster.com.
You sure are, but it is important that you jump in there first.
Yes.
To identify if there was another issue going on, because the last thing you want to do is take a great employee that you can move up to put in a bad situation to run them.
Correct.
Yep. Because that will completely, you lose, you double lose there in that
You do.
situation.
Yeah.
You do. So learning to be able to understand the situation, fill in the hole, and we're talking about here, learn or be able to pivot. We've kind of already talked about that, but just being able to change on the go.
And when you learn to pivot, you have to be present and you have to show up as a leader.
Yeah.
Yes.
We hadn't hit on this, but we talked about it all the time in the meetings. The real leaders will rise up when adversity or crisis or whatever you want to call it. You'll see who the leaders
It's
are.
easy to win while you're winning.
Oh, yeah, so
right?
easy.
You know,
Yeah.
like everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Yeah,
Right? I
It's
think
like
Mike Tyson said
the
that.
running back can run a touchdown if they got a great line and there's a hole that you can just run through.
No, we're talking about when things get bad. Your true character is not written in a monologue. It's not on your Indeed. It's not on. It's how do you handle in a tough situation? Are you cussing at people? Are you hollering?
Yeah.
You blaming everybody else? You're saying, "Hey, I got this. Let me hop in with you there.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Let's figure this out. Hey, when are you guys having for lunch? Let's, you know."
But if you're not involved and if you don't stick a thermometer in at ground level as a leader every once in a while, you'll miss what the issue is, and this thing will just be on repeat.
Yeah.
It just repeats itself.
And you're just going to get bad emails at your golf tournament.
That's just
That's what's going to. You can get bad text messages.
and you're
where
going to be like, I
outfit's-
can't trust any people, blah, blah, blah,
No,
blah, blah.
it is your fault.
No, and the biggest thing I think, Shelby, we were talking about this last night, but once you get to a level that it's your business that you're running, there's two different sides of that. You want the culture, you want the atmosphere in there, but you're human as a person that runs your business. And if you don't identify that and change it, you're keeping yourself in a cycle that will never get out of it. And it will, no matter how strong-willed you are, it will run your wheels off.
Oh, yeah.
It will run them off, and it's not what you want to have set up for your
no.
business.
It's not why someone says, I want to have
Exactly.
my own business.
No.
It happens. And so the fix is policy, procedures, empowering people, making sure that you see problems, handle the problems, love on people, and just keep the circle going there. Well, I think we could talk about this all day.
We
right?
really could, but I know the listeners out there, they're just dying to hear the answer to your question.
We
That's
gotta
a fun fact.
we gotta dive into there, and you think this here, and I would go to say this is probably a national average.
It is.
This is taking the places that they don't even drive.
Yeah, where they got the
cars.
subways and stuff.
Yeah, they've got this always. National average wise, it's 2 vehicles per household.
Okay.
But we find that probably in our area, I think it may be a few more.
I think the point in that, though, is that is a fun fact, but we have to tell our whole crew about it that, hey, there's more than one vehicle out there,
Oh, huge.
per household.
Yeah. Yes.
Per household. Hey, guys, I got to say, this has really been a fun episode as we've unpacked how do we react, as a leader, and as a business owner or a manager in the workplace. So there's tons and tons of things. As Shelby said, we could talk about this for a long time, but I'm going to ask each person for their takeaway. Mm-hmm. So if you fast forward or if you phased out during this episode, what you could take and implement. I'll go first here. I'm going to say it's very important that when something happens to pause first, gather your group, your core group, to come up with your game plan to go forward. So mine is to pause before you react.
That's good, definitely. And I would take that and I would say one of the big things that I've always learned and that I love is you'll really know how good your team is and how much they are for you of when things get tough of how they react.
No.
Like, the ability to, what Matt said, of pausing. But when you do that, in that heated situation of Banny Rooster or such and such didn't show up, how do they react? That's their true character that never shows up. So my takeaway is to make sure to check your team and see, are they what they say they are? And those people that are, make sure you love on them. Make sure that you're taking care of those people because they're your true character. It's not a motto on the front of your building, and it's not something on your website. So make sure you know your people and their true character.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So those two things I think are great. Being connected in the communication. So being involved in your work atmosphere.
Okay.
If you listen to it and you know what's going on, you can, and I always love hearing this, but you can always listen. You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen what's coming from your team. Listen to the situation. And that's kind of going back to Matt, what he had said there. But just pause, listen, know what your team is doing. That way you can react and put together a plan that is going to be productive for your team.
No, that's good stuff. That's good advice from everybody in here. Hey, we got to bring the listeners some specials. You know, Absolutely. We are in the car business. We're trying to sell vehicles. Did you bring us a special today?
Yes, I have to go back and you have to come and see me about an electric vehicle.
Okay.
It's unreal. It's unreal right now. I think Ford builds the best one on the market. They took the best-selling truck and they electrified it. They made it to where it makes the most sense and everything else, and you've heard about this. But it's electric F-150, over 300 miles of range, and we're talking up to almost $20,000 off and 0%. It's crazy amount. It makes sense. You know, you got to check it out, and I have some more info on it, but crazy special there.
That is a crazy special. I'm going to bring you an SUV special of the day. So we're going to talk about a four-wheel drive Jeep Compass. So if you're out there, you're looking for something that gets great fuel mileage, new technology, and it's it's mid-20s.
Yeah.
$25,900 for a four-wheel drive Jeep Compass. So no matter what you're looking for there, Shelby, where can they find all the specials at?
Guaranteed, LewisSuperstore.com. Make sure you're diving into that, where we bring you all the freshest specials. Now, inventory does lag a little bit, so it's not always there. So the best way is just to come see us. We'd love to give you a tour.
Oh, yeah.
We're off exit 65, right in Fayetteville. We'll give you a whole tour. Fayetteville, Springdale, come by and see us. But absolutely.
Hey, thanks for joining us today for another great episode about how to handle employees and what the market or what the environment, they were calling it crisis, happens in the workplace and how you react to it. Make sure to smash that subscribe button below so you won't miss any of the great conversations with us, and go back and listen to some of those episodes too. And if you don't mind, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure and give it a like, share it with your friends and family, and visit our website to send us questions about what you would like to know about the automotive industry or family business in general. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way, and we'll do our best to answer any questions that you have. Thank you again, and we'll see you in future shows.